Okay, let's start. So tonight we're going to be talking about deal breakers before or during dating. Now, when you get really along in the relationship, it's a bit too late to bring it up. It's best you know what your deal breakers are, but that means you need to know who God is to you as a Christian, who God is to you. Then you know who you are, and then you know what your... So deal breakers are just what you feel to you, what you value is very important to you. That's so important to you that you will not change on that. You will not compromise. Yeah, so that's what a deal breaker is. Your values, something very fundamental, something most important to you that you're not willing to change or let go of. So that's a deal breaker. And you should have them, know what they are. If you know yourself, right? And it's better when you know God because he can show you more about who you are. And so, as a Christian, the healthy way of going into a relationship, of going into marriage, because we Christians, we are made for relationship with God and with people. Yeah, so the world is not about relationships. World is, oh, I met you, we sleep together. Right? That's the world. But for us, Christians, it's I would say it's in 4 stages. So number 1 is friendship. Like, do you actually connect? Can you actually communicate? Can you enjoy each other's company? Okay, so the next stage is dating. But dating is spending more time together, but you're still not so emotionally connected. You're just trying to get to know each other a bit more beyond the friendship. Yes, at this stage, you should, even before then, you should know what your deal breakers are. And you should bring up your deal breakers here. Yeah, and then it moves into, so when you know you're compatible, your values, they match or they're similar, and you both feel, after prayer, much prayer and consideration, you feel like, yes, there's a future for us. Let's go into a relationship. So the relationship phase is preparing for marriage. In this phase, hopefully your deal breakers have been sorted. That's why you're going to continue into marriage. So marriage being the last phase. Engagement fits into the relationship stage, so obviously. A separate sort of... Well, engagement happens when you're in the relationship, right? Because you're like, we are in a relationship heading towards marriage. So engagement would fit in there, wouldn't you say? Oh, I just put it broadly under relationship because everything happens in there, and then marriage. But you can put in there. Now, another thing for a healthy, for if you want to develop further from friendship to marriage, if this happens, I should say, is that you should have a lot of advice and counsel along the way. Don't do it on your own. Proverbs 15:22-23, it says, plans go wrong for lack of advice, and many advices bring success. Proverbs 15:22-23, and everyone enjoys a fitting reply. This is the other side of it. And it is wonderful to say the right thing at the right time. So we all need wisdom and guidance from a mentor, a leader, someone you trust and respect, and whose experience. Yeah, friends are good, but sometimes friends are at the same level, so they cannot see further or above. They cannot see longer beyond your age. So it's good to have older people who are married, who have the relationship experience. They can give you the wisdom. And also you have to allow them to speak truth to you. Because your friends might be too negative or too positive. They might be negative when you want them to be positive, and positive when you want them to be saying the truth. Like, hey, I don't think this is going to work because I see this. Do you see it? Why don't you see it? You know? And also, aside from that, build up knowledge, take courses, listen to podcasts, learn more about relationships. Yeah. Okay, so that's the introduction. Let's go into... So we have 9 deal breakers. let's have a look at them. Stan's going to start with the first 4. This is really interesting. Okay. Here's the spicy.
Yes. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to cover the first 4. So I'm going to go straight into it. Number 1, do you both have personal conviction about God? Can you actually see that there is an affection for God, like a love for God? Or they say they have a relationship with God, but they're just going through the motions, just doing the actions, but you just feel like, is your heart there? Usually we should be able to tell. Maybe you can ask the other person questions like, what's your personal experiences with God? I'll remember one time I asked someone, what's your deepest or greatest experience with God? And she actually said, well, my best experience with God was the last time I went out for a hike. I saw the night skies and I saw the mountains. For her, that was like the deepest. So you mean...
Sides.
Yeah, so... Or someone said the greatest experience I had was the last time I went to a Christian concert or great music. You can actually ask them deeper questions like, okay, so no words, no reflections, no convictions, no transformation. So you can actually ask them, is this a deep enough experience for you? Or do you have an experience where God spoke to you from the Word or by the Holy Spirit? These are good questions to ask. Proverbs 18:14, it says, the strong spirit of a man sustains the man. If you want the man to be able to stand up their own 2 feet, I truly believe that they can't do it without God. It has to take the Holy Spirit to do it. What about this in Luke chapter 4, where it says Jesus returned in the power of the Holy Spirit? Oh my gosh, you want a man like that, right? Or you want to have a lady like that. You want that. The Bible didn't say that Jesus returned memorizing the whole Bible. Yeah. Okay, so number 2. Okay, this is a practical one. Do they demonstrate respect? Yeah. So I guess like we should be able to tell a lot from people's comments, jokes, conversations, responses, and reactions. Especially when they are with you or their family, your family, their friends, and your friends. So you should be able to tell. Yeah, you should be able to read that person. And that's why, like Helen said, right? Don't do dating on your own. Take that person to all of your circles of friends just to see how they react. You want to ask yourself questions like, are you both too agreeable? That's a big one.
What's agreeable? What, like?
Are you both too agreeable? Means like, whatever you want, I'll do whatever you want.
Scared to say no.
Like they agree with you all the time.
You're
okay.
saying
I was
them?
gonna say, but like if I get asked like, where do you want to eat? I
I don't know,
genuinely do
where
not
do you want to
care.
eat? I don't know, where do you want to eat?
Oh, right.
Where do you want to eat?
That's just it. But like, I guess...
I don't know, not in that
Oh,
sense.
I mean,
I genuinely like don't care
Alright.
where I go to eat because I'm like, I eat whatever.
And I'm sure there's going to be a time where you would say, I would prefer to eat blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's what we want to detect. Because otherwise, that person just wants to please you at all cost. And they will never tell you what they need and what they want. That is the most frustrating thing that you can have in a relationship.
So there's like a difference between you genuinely don't mind, and then there's like, you just don't want to say something because you're trying to please others.
Exactly. I mean, there's wisdom in it, but if you keep doing it all the time, there's an issue.
does that mean there's a problem in the relationship? I don't think that's a thing. It's more like this person is trying too hard to please you.
Yeah, a lot of people take being too agreeable as respect, but if you never share what's from your heart, usually people will end up being in resentment. They get resentful very easily, but then they're too scared to speak up. Watch out for that. The next question under respect is the opposite. Do you both always want to be right? Do you care for each other genuinely, or is it a one-way thing? I know in some relationships, someone just wants to be the savior in the relationship all the time. One person just wants to be the mummy or the rescuer or the savior, and the other person just wants to receive, right?
Yes.
Because they feel good rescuing that person, and that's not love, that's not respect. You're just like wanting to be needed. Oh yeah, I think someone talks about being on time, right? I'll cover this as well. Do you both know what is important to each other? I think that's a big one. Because sometimes it's not just a right or wrong thing. It's just like if you want to invest in a relationship, you want to know what's important for that person, and then you adjust accordingly. I remember a guy actually said that, oh no, I just don't want to please her all the time. I said, you're not pleasing her all the time. You are investing in a relationship. Because when you understand what's important to her, when she understands what's important to you, then you guys will have more understanding and synergy for each other. Like simple things like you said, right? The girl really wants to be on time and the guy just like, oh, I don't care, being late is okay. So you need to find the top 3 or 5, but please don't be shallow about that. Like, the top priority is her favorite color. You have to go for something that's a little bit more deeper and important. You are talking about values. You're not talking about just some preferences. Okay, the third one, are they relationally available?
This is the third one?
Number 3. Number 2 is respect.
Relationally.
Relationally. What does that mean? That means like, are you both willing to invest your emotions and energy and time in the relationship? Because for some people, long distance relationship would work for them, but for some people, it just doesn't work. They will say no right away. They say, no, I need her or I need him to be with me in person. Okay, over the phone is not going to do it. You have to find out, is it you or not? That person might say, hey, look, I enjoy working out of town 2 weeks in a month, but you as a boyfriend or as a girlfriend, can you handle it? Because like some people just appreciate your company in person and that's how they cultivate their relationship. But if one wants to be away all the time and one doesn't, then you want to categorize that person as relationally unavailable. Okay? Yes?
I have a friend, she was dating her boyfriend for like 12 years, and that entire 12 years, I think 10 years was long distance, and he like never went to be with her in the same city. And then they got married, and then 1 year after they got married, he moved to a different city to work, like permanently. Isn't that strange?
Okay, well, so he's relationally unavailable.
Yeah.
Are they still together?
They're still married, but they just don't live in the same city. And he like intentionally moved to a different city for work. After marriage.
So you really have to ask the lady, are you okay with that?
What is he
Or
married
not?
to?
I know.
Are you okay with that?
It's like,
It's a placeholder.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then they just bought a house and then he moved. He just
What?
left. Yeah, it's definitely not weekly or bi.
Well, it sounds like he's married to his work more than to his wife.
If my husband was living in a different city, I don't think I would want children.
That's
No,
right.
You don't want to.
No.
You don't want to be a single
You'll
mom.
You'll be a single mom.
You'll be a single mom.
Okay, number 4, that's my last point before I hand it over to Helen. Do they or do you demonstrate any wisdom? That's a big thing. Do you both make decisions based on excitement, emotional pain, or other people's opinions of you?
Can you repeat that?
Do you make decisions based on excitement, emotional pain, or people's opinions of you? I found that a lot of people, they make decisions because they say, oh yeah, so-and-so said that I'm good at that, so I'm going to do it. Well, so you mean you don't have a brain to think about it yourself? It's just like, why do you have to depend on that? Wisdom. Okay, wisdom. How thoughtful are you both in weighing up options and foreseeing potential consequences? Because literally people just saying, oh, it feels right, babe. Let's fly. Let's go. Let's spend, So they don't think about the consequences. They just think, oh, I just want to please you. You feel good. All right, you want to do that, and then, I can do that for you. Consequences. Do you both reflect on your decisions and actions and seek to improve your decision-making style? Because a lot of people I found, when after they made a decision, they don't think about it. It is what it is, babe. It's like, come on. No. Why did we spend the $2,000 on blah blah? Why? Maybe you can take out some wrong beliefs and just say, oh, I thought money will come. Well, honey, you don't work and I don't work. How did the money come? Like, people don't think about, oh, but we love each other, We just want to be with each other, and that's why we need the too expensive phones. Now these guys are.
overdid a sitcom.
I think I overkilled it, but anyway. But the thing is that these things didn't happen amongst the teenagers. It's really the young adults.
Yeah.
People who are in their 20s, you thought they have a little better brain. So, Helen, it's your turn. So, number 5.
Actually, the wisdom part is, are they cautious and thoughtful? You can make mistakes. You can make foolish decisions, but do you learn from them, Do you learn and unlearn and learn new things?
Just learn from it.
That's how you get wisdom. Okay, number 5, and this is very obvious, is their chemistry. Because, my friends, if there's no chemistry, you're just friends. And ain't gonna change from there. And if it's one way, it's a pity. It's a pity for you if you really like them and they don't like you the same way. Or they like you and you don't like them the same way. It's not going to work.
Would you say chemistry can come later, or is it like a very...
Yes,
Oh,
it can come. It can be instant or it can come later as you get to know them. Yes. Don't put it in a box like, oh, it must be immediate. But here's a good question to ask. What were your ideals of attraction from young, and what is it now? You know, what are your ideals of it? What makes the other person attractive to you? What are you attracted to? Is it the same as when you were, say, 10 years ago? Or has it changed now?
Sorry, can you say it again? After chemistry.
What are you attracted to
Oh,
in the other person? What do you find attractive? Was it the same as 10 years ago, or is it different now? I mean, you can start with friendship, but will there be more than a friendship?
But I think friendship is important.
Yes,
'Cause
that's
at
the
end of
starting
day,
point.
like, you're not always gonna love, love is like a feeling, right? So you're not always gonna like love them. But if you have friendship,
You mean love as in be attracted? There's this chemistry there.
yeah, no.
We're not talking about love,
No,
so.
like if
like
You know,
chemistry fades.
like if you're in a relationship, you always have friendship. So if like on the relationship,
Mm.
you kind of like butting heads, it's like important to remember that friendship, right? I don't
Yes.
think I've explained it.
Oh, I'm
Right?
talking about chemistry. But
Yeah.
so you're talking about there should be always a friendship in the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But for a friendship to develop into a relationship, you need chemistry. Do you guys agree? Otherwise, it's still a
What
friendship.
stays as friendship?
A little bit more romantic feelings.
Like bro and bros together, you know. And that's fine. You can have friends, right? So you have to see, is it one way or is it mutual? You know, if it's one way, it's not going to work definitely. So you need to define what exactly are you attracted to in that person. It has to be more than feelings. You cannot go, I feel attracted to that person, but what are you attracted to? What do you actually find? Maybe it's something you really value. Okay, maybe it's some of your convictions and that you find that very attractive. Yeah, because here's the trap. You can be in love with the idea, you know, like your fantasy, your imagination of that person, but the reality is that person is not your idea. They're so different. And if you always are in love with the idea, you'll never see that person for who they really are. You always think, they are my idea. And people can fall in love with the idea, but they live but it can become a delusion, you know? So you have to think, is this fantasy or fact? Yeah. So the chemistry thing, that's important. Because if you marry someone and there's no chemistry, yeah, it's not going to last long, because you need, that's an essential part in a marriage, in a relationship that has meaning and depth between the two different sexes, you know? Yeah, okay. Number 6, are our values compatible? Are our values? So values are priorities, you know. What is most important to you? The top. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 being least, 1 being most important. Are there any clashes, or are there similarities? And you need to be going in the same direction. You know, not like somebody says, I want to live in Paris. And someone says, no, I want to stay in New Zealand. You're not going in the same direction. Or I never want to have children. And the other person says, I love kids. You're not going in the same direction. So it's okay if you understand each other, but you still need to go in the. I mean, if you can understand each other and still not go in the same direction, because you don't have the similar priorities and values. And also, what about your personalities? Are you compatible? I say personalities can change as well, obviously. So just keep that in mind. So if you think that person is very introvert, well, you maybe got to get to know them better, and then you'll be able to see, instead of like concluding oh, they must be this, so I'm not into that. You know, it's all about deepening the friendship, getting to know the other person, they're getting to know you, and this takes time, and an open heart and trust and communication. Yeah.
What if you have like mostly the same values, but there's like a few values that you really are not the same on, or your personalities really clash? Because you know it's hard to get like you can't get a perfect match, you know. So like, I guess you just discuss like, are these misalignments deal breakers or not?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have to be able to put everything on the table. And I think the important thing is, are both parties willing to look at things and say, can I change that? I'm not changing for you, but can I personally change that? Because that's what I want from my heart, really. Yeah. If you change for the other person, that's not going to work, because it's not in your heart. It's just you're depending on them. And yes, and in some Asian cultures, the parents have very strong say, a big say, and a big influence on your partner, your future partner. So this is tricky. You have to navigate that. And it's something you have to talk through, and the other person has to realize, I can't, that is what it is, that's control, and I can't live under that. Yes. The Bible, that's why it says leave and cleave. Many marriages get very bitter like that, because maybe the husband or the wife overly respects and accommodates the parent, and that is a big no-no.
How do you, from like an outside perspective, if you see that in like a friend's marriage or relationship, how do you not butt in, but like,
With questions.
okay. No, because I have friends who are in like that kind of situation, and I know both of them really well, and I know like his family really well, but she like was like, he calls his mum all the time.
And has she,
Like,
does that bother her?
Well, it must do.
Yeah, because she's told you about it, so it's obvious.
Yeah.
Have
like,
you asked
she brought
her?
it up with me when he wasn't around. So I'm like, well, obviously that's a thing. I mean, they're like my age, so they're young.
Wow, that is so young. Did they get pre-marriage counselling?
Yeah, they did, I think.
Well, if I was you, I'd just ask questions to start with, because they have to realise that and see that. And then do they want to change that? Do they want that change? Because if not, you know, some people are very comfortable with that. Or they're too agreeable, like, I'll never ask him to do that. That would upset his mum. You know, like, but then you have to do some counselling work kind of way to help them dig deeper and see if that bothers them, they want to change. That's the first step. So, like, I wouldn't be telling them, wouldn't be teaching it them. You just be asking them, does it bother her? That's why I asked you. Does it bother her? And what is she doing about it? You know, are they sitting down and talking it through? And where to go from there? I would be bothered. Okay, number 7. Are there any sexual issues? So how do they see sexual intimacy? You know, it's like outside before sex is okay. Anyone is with anyone. How many partners is okay? Or is it sex after marriage is the conviction? You know, is it? What about past sexual partners? Are they willing, vulnerable to say how many sexual partners they had in the past? Because this brings a lot of baggage, you know, into your relationship. It can bring false expectations, because you have all those pre-expectations before. So you just bring all that into this relationship. And you can do it subconsciously, even though you think, oh, no, this person's very different. It can be very subconscious, especially when it's all suppressed and you never process them. You never grieved from some deeply meaningful relationships. I think grieving is a big thing to go through. And lots of people skip that part of grieving. They're like, I don't see them anymore. It's all good. I've moved on. But you're still deeply sad. You're still deeply depressed or angry. And it could be just that you need to grieve the past hurts, the loss of the relationship, the losses that you experience after. So that's where I recommend that person, that friend, to go for therapy, for counselling. They need it. You need a professional to help them process all that, to heal from that, to look at all that. Yeah. You wouldn't do surgery on yourself, so that's why you need professional help when you need it. Yeah. Are they shut down or addicted in the area of sex? Are they flirtatious with other people? Are they obsessed in some aspect, obsessed with sex? I mean, there's lust. You can have lust in a relationship and mistake it for love. You know, when all they want is the physical touch and the physical experiences, and that's all they're after, mainly. But, you know, getting involved sexually, there's another teaching on that. It just messes you up emotionally. You cannot see very clearly after that. Through the emotions, you can't see very clearly for yourself or what the other person is like, because all those emotions just get so muddled up in your head, and it just creates so many filters. Yeah, that's why God intended sex to be inside of marriage. That's a safe place, a place of protection, and a place where, because once you're opened up sexually, your body has opened up, your mind has opened up. It cannot be closed. So, I mean, it's okay. You know, lots of us do have sexual encounters before we get married as a Christian. And just be aware of that, though, that when you're sexual, what is it? When you're...
Sexuality is awakened.
Yes.
When your sexuality
Yes.
is awakened
Yes.
before its time.
Yes.
Yeah, there are always issues.
There's consequences with that.
There will always be.
And you just have to be aware of that and learn ways to divert that the imaginations and the energy onto other things, like going to the gym. So go to the gym, not just for that,
You need therapy.
but it's an outlet, outwork it somewhere else, healthy, in a healthy way. Otherwise, it turns into lust, and go into pornography, go into other feel good that gives you that high, the dopamine levels up, Yeah, so that's a very important area to talk about and not to sweep under the carpet and not to avoid talking about. Okay. You want to, in all these topics, you want to go, are they open to talking about this? Or are they in denial and they just want to avoid the topic, or they're just really harsh about it? That's a red flag if people are not willing to. So you go so far along and they're still not opening up. There's, you have to go into that deeper, find a way in, or if they close up, then you can't go any further than that, can you? That's hard, that's difficult. Yeah, number 8, are they emotionally bruised and unwilling to face it? So we can all be emotionally bruised, but are we willing to face it, work through our past hurts? We all have them. Are they emotionally aware of themselves? Or are they just all head, always talking about things and numbers and facts and science and never really getting into the heart, into how do I feel? Talking about my feelings, Is the emotional baggage they are unwilling to front up to? Or are they always repeatedly misinterpreting, misconstruing things you say? There's like really quick reactions and just very negative reactions, and you're like, what? I didn't even mean that. That's not what I'm saying. So that's a bit of a red flag. Is there bias and prejudice in how they see life? But it's just due to how they grew up, due to their background. There might be certain biases toward God, people, church, money, sex, things like that. It takes maybe they need to talk with, you both need to talk with a counsellor about examining their unbearable feelings. Yeah. And another emotional, what do you call that? Emotional, something to watch for is all correction automatically, do they automatically receive it as control? Like, why are you interrogating me? No, I'm just asking. Do they see it as control, domination? Do they see it as humiliation? Do they see it as disrespect? But these might not be a deal breaker, but you have to go slowly with caution, because you're dealing with a lot of emotional damage here, and the emotional health isn't so good, and that's where you just got to get to know them better and see if there's a willingness for them to. There was a couple that I was dating, and the guy, I said, it sounds like they need to see a counsellor. They went to see a counsellor, and he got better, so much more better. He made so much more progress, was faster than he was just like on his own, trying to work things out. He still stayed in that same pit until he went to see a counsellor. He was making progress every week, and over a whole year he'd changed so much. He just realised so many things. He saw so many things he never saw. Takes a counsellor to do that, a therapist, yeah. Someone, anyway, that is outside of yourself, because, you wouldn't do surgery on yourself. Okay, so any questions on there, emotional health? It's really, really important.
I have a question.
Yep.
Like, if someone is always misinterpreting what you say, those people that's always you say something and you're like, oh, are you saying I'm this? But you didn't mean it like that.
Yeah.
They always question you and they always put words in a way.
Oh, no.
Does that mean they're just very insecure and always think people's meaning negative, the wrong, the other, like a viewing through a filter where they
Yes.
always hear things that's not it?
Yeah, that would be so hard. Oh,
I'm not always.
that would be so difficult.
There's people that do that.
No, you can't be their
That's
counsellor. You
if
can't be
they
their
want you to do
mum.
that,
You say things like,
Yes.
oh yeah, I really enjoy this chicken burger, but then you're eating a beef burger, and I'm not
Oh
making
yeah.
fun
So
of
it's
you.
are you saying that I shouldn't be eating this beef burger?
So
Wow.
I don't think
Whoa,
about beef
that'd
burger,
just
okay?
be very
So I
tiring
guess
and
you-
draining.
you-
Oh.
But what if you assure someone that's kind of taking offence, and then they take offence to your assurance?
Why are you assuring me?
Yeah.
Do you think I'm No,
Oh,
but
oh.
you're only assuring me
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're
Oh, right.
oh my god, that's another level.
If they just are adamant that what you've said would offended them.
There's a really twisted person, but I would say that I need to make myself clear, because what I say is never what I'm not saying.
Yes.
If you ask me that, that's an indicator that you are second guessing, and I want to assure you that I'm not.
I'll say bar abuse, right? So it stops at physical and verbal abuse. You need to get out of that relationship. I wouldn't say I'd try and set my boundaries and try to work this out. If there's emotional and physical abuse, that's the time to get out of the
well, that's another
relationship.
level.
Okay, last one. And this is something you need to talk about as well. How are they? By the way, these questions should be for yourself as well, because how do you actually gauge or read another person if you don't even know yourself? Don't even know of your own emotional health. You're not even, so you can't judge. That's what I'm saying. Because if these things are in your life, then chances are you'll only see as far as that, and then you won't better see the other person for truly who they are. So number 9, how are they with their finances, with money? Yeah. And I wrote a great blog a few years back. I can send it to you guys, but I talked about money personalities. So we all have a money personality, but we want to try and to get balance, you know, not like be one person or the other. So there's a money personality. So there's 4, according, it can be more than that, but I've categorized them to, are they a saver? Love to just save because that's their security. Are they a spender? Love to spend, spend, spend. A sharer? They like to share their happiness, their money. They want to buy gifts. Other people pay for other people's things. Or they're a shunner, meaning shunner or runner. Like, just avoid looking at money. Oh, it's there, but I don't know how much is in my bank account. I'm just spending, I'm just saving, you know. And also looking at their family culture, because we catch how we handle money. We pick up all our attitudes from our family. It's instilled in us, you know, their family culture, family habits towards money. Is it really careful, being really careful? Is it always saving? Or is it just like, don't care, just spend it on anything? Don't know what's in my bank account. Oh, it's okay, debt's that much, but I'm happy with debt, you know. So what are their spending habits like? How much debt do they have? And how did that debt build up? I mean, there's good debt versus bad debt. Like student loan, everyone gets a student loan, right? Are you paying it off though? You got to pay off that student loan sometime. Interest free. And there's bad debt, like I say car financing is bad debt. I'd say hire purchasing furniture. Some people hire purchase furniture, jewelry, computers.
Jewelry debt. Is that a...
Yeah, people buy,
Not like...
I'm pretty sure
not
they...
engagement rings, but like...
Oh, I don't know. Not that we did, but apparently...
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, in the store. You can get you normalize it because you think, oh yeah, my parents did it, they high purchase everything. And you just think it's normal. You don't think that, wait, I'm paying all that debt, I'm paying so much interest. This is getting me into trouble. I've got more and more to repay every week. Oh no. Let me reduce this debt, pay it off, you know. It's a good idea to pay off your debt. So you guys, why don't you share what your deal breakers are, 1 or 2?